Do you know the average income household in the district that I represent? You probably don't, so I'll tell you, it's $69,000. And do you know what the average price of an EV vehicle is?
Sure, I pulled the latest numbers. The models are starting around $30,000 for sedans. They're getting into the 40s for.
According to Kelley Blue Book, the average price for electric cars was over $53,000.
Surely you're aware that they start closer to 30, right?
My constituents would have to work a full year to pay for this unreliable car and would barely have enough left over to care for their family. What is the average median income of a single individual EV buyer? It's $150,000.
As of when?
It's $150,000.
As of when? I'm just asking because that number is going down each passing year.
This month. This month. And how much of a taxpayer-funded subsidy is given to those high-income earners to purchase their EV?
As you may recall, the Inflation Reduction Act was set in such a way that there was an income cap on how you could benefit from it, so that the wealthiest people are not able to take advantage of that. But we do wish we had your support in lowering the cost of EVs.
Mr. Secretary, would you agree it's $7,500?
Say again?
Would you agree it's $7,500?
$7,500 is the maximum credit that is eligible, and we think that making EVs cheaper for working families to the tune of $7,500
Mr.
is a good
Secretary,
move.
excuse me. Do you think that it's fair for your administration to force constituents to purchase these electric vehicles when they're not working, especially in northern Minnesota?
Well, the premise of the question is false because we're not forcing anybody to purchase any technology. Can you refer to any particular policy that forces anybody to purchase any vehicle?
By 2035, you want 2/3 of Americans to be using electric vehicles. They don't work in northern Minnesota in the cold weather today. And I want to just share something with you. Mr. Garamendi, and I agree with him, buy American. Last July, you sat in that same spot and answered our questions. And I told you about a concern that I have with child slave labor in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And I told you that we could mine these critical minerals needed for EVs in the district that I represent under the best labor and environmental standards in the world. But you and the administration went ahead with an MOU with the DRC in January of this year. Well-documented child slave labor in the DRC, hardly any environmental standards. And your administration chose to enter MOUs with the Congo, where 15 of the 19 mines are owned by the communist country of China, where they use slave laborers. It's unbelievable that you chose other workers over the American worker. And it's unbelievable that you won't allow you and your administration won't allow mining here in Minnesota and the United States. Your Secretary of Energy, Secretary Granholm, came to the Western Caucasus, and I happened to ask her, I said, do you know the only nickel mine in the United States today? She couldn't answer that. Do you know where it is?
No, I don't.
It's in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the Eagle Mine. It's the gold standard. And she's our energy secretary. And do we need nickel, cobalt, and copper for these electric vehicles as we transition? The answer is yes. We need to mine here in America with American miners, American labor. We can do it. The biggest copper nickel find in the world, and your administration just banned it. Union labor, Mr. Secretary, that we want. And your administration took the union labor off mining. And not only in northeastern Minnesota, but across this country. Because today, this administration, they cannot give one example of allowing a mine to be opened in this country.